The 8-member ad hoc committee probing a censure motion against the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, struck out two of the grounds for the motion against the minister. These are the ones that hinged on conflict of interest and illegal payments of oil revenues into offshore accounts. The finance minister reacted to the other 5 allegations when he appeared before the 8-member committee of parliament. He first apologized for the current economic hardship.
Since the Ofori-Atta government came into office in 2017, everything we have sought to do was aimed at making the lives of the people better. We have been focused on this vision to improve lives, and in the first 4 years, our efforts were leading to a realization of the vision. Today, I acknowledge our economy is facing difficulties, and the people of Ghana are enduring hardships. As a person President Akufo-Addo has put in charge of this economy, I feel the pain personally, professionally, and in my soul. I see and feel the terrible impact of rising prices of goods and services on the lives and livelihoods of ordinary Ghanaians. I feel the stress of running a business, but it is the strength and perseverance of the Ghanaian people that inspire me and my colleagues in government every morning. And it's to press on. That is what gives me the strength to press on, to find solutions and relief for Ghanaians to the myriad of problems that our country and the rest of the world are facing, especially since March 2020. Co-chairs, let me use this opportunity to say to the Ghanaian people what I believe, with courage, every finance minister around the world may wish to say to their people now. I am truly sorry.
The minister says payments made for the National Cathedral were legally made from the contingency vote.
Honorable co-chairs, 3 days ago, when the proponents were here, they alleged I had made payments from the contingency fund to support the National Cathedral. I want to state that this is just not true. Let me be categorical. I have taken no money from the contingency fund to make payments for the National Cathedral. It appears the proponents have confused the contingency fund with the contingency vote. Let me explain. There is a difference between contingency fund and contingency vote. The contingency fund the proponents refer to is already covered under the Constitution, specifically under Article 177. This constitutes money voted by Parliament, and advances from this must be authorized by the Parliamentary Finance Committee. The contingency vote, on the other hand, is a line under the other government obligations vote, which is approved by the Finance Committee and passed as part of the Annual Appropriation Acts passed by Parliament. Honorable co-chairs, in preparing the annual budgets, the practice is that provision is made for indicative expenditures that have not been fully costed at the time of the budget presentation. Provisions are made in the contingency vote to cater for such expenditures. For example, in 2014, there was no specific allocation in the 2014 budget for Ghana's participation in the FIFA World Cup in Brazil. The cabinet of President John Mahama in March 2014 at the time approved then some $9.622 million for that tournament, including that amount which was flown to Brazil in a private jet for the players. A more current example is Ghana's participation in Qatar. The Black Stars qualified for the 2022 FIFA World Cup way after the 2022 budget presented on 16 November 2021 was approved by Parliament. No specific amount was thus budgeted for it, but through the contingency vote, we have been able to provide funds legitimately for the team to participate in the competition. In conclusion, co-chairs, all the payments made for the National Cathedral were lawfully done, and from the contingency vote, under the other government obligations vote and not from the contingency fund, as alleged by the proponents.
The minister also defended himself against allegations of deliberate and dishonest reports of economic data to Parliament, gross mismanagement of the economy, and financial recklessness leading to the collapse of the Ghana cedi.
The issue of deliberate misreporting of economic data to Parliament is not just unfortunate, but simply untrue. I, and for that matter, the Ministry of Finance, have never misreported data to Parliament, as has been alleged. On Tuesday, 13th November 2022, the proponents clarified that their concerns relating to the reporting of fiscal data. In their submission, they alleged that different sets of data were presented to the IMF and the people of Ghana. That is untrue. The 2019 Article 4, which they cited, actually clearly demonstrates that the computing and reporting of the deficit is consistent between the government and the IMF, as shown on the table labeled Ghana Selected Economic and Financial Indicators, 2017 to 2024, on page 4 of the IMF Article 4 and Appendix 3A of the 2019 budget. I want to state that I have not been reckless in the management of the fiscal operations of government. Rather, our strenuous efforts to protect the public purse is what has helped this government to have achieved much more than any government ever over a similar period in virtually all sectors. Honorable co-chairs, I've come to Parliament House 10 times, 11 times since this government in the last 6 years to present the annual and mid-year budgets. On all occasions, I have discussed all proposed fiscal operations of government, revenue, expenditure, and financing. On all these occasions, I receive approval as Parliament subsequently passed appropriation bills for all those budgets. Every key expenditure made has been supported by this House. Indeed, we also saw the dire consequences when the House for months refused to pass a major revenue generation item introduced by this government to support the fiscal stability of the economy. It is important at this point to also highlight that the key component of the national debt stock related to 3 exceptional expenditure items that are neither external nor a creation of this government. Energy sector excess capacity payments, 17 billion, which relates to a legacy of take-or-pay contracts that saddle the country's economy with annual payments in excess capacity charges of close to $1 billion. Direct COVID-19 expenditure amounted to Ghana cedis 12 billion. The banking sector cleanup of 25 billion. These 3 items alone contribute to about 23% of our annual debt servicing costs. These 3 items were not created from the recklessness of our party. The long doom so that Ghanaians endured during the NDC administration between 2012 and 2016 was more to do with NDC's government ability to pay for power. So, co-chairs, I find it curious that Honorable Atta Forson would choose to cite energy bills as an example of the recklessness that the minority charges me with and seek my removal by censure.
He announced a post-COVID recovery policy aimed at sustaining the economy.
Honorable co-chairs, even in these challenging times, we have not been rudderless. We have prepared the post-COVID-19 Program for Economic Growth, PCPEG, as a domestic blueprint which has benefited from input from all key stakeholders, including civil society, social partners, labor unions, employers, and faith-based organizations, academia, industry professionals, and the leadership of Parliament. This document contains a set of time-bound structural reforms and fiscal consolidation measures to place our debt levels and fiscal accounts on a sustainable path over the medium term, and has underpinned government's engagement with the IMF. The negotiation with the IMF is progressing steadily and well, and we are working assiduously to achieve a staff-level agreement by end of December 2022.